Hello, everyone. Welcome to the special prep episode for our next game club, Wolfenstein: The New Order, because there is always a next game club. I'm your main host for the show, Michael, and if this is your first time with Stay of the Save, and you're like, hey, these guys are doing a two-part game club on Wolfenstein: The New Order, I've been meaning to check out that game. Well, you've come to the right place. See, what we generally do here is we start with a prep show before we dive into a game club, just to get us, the host, and you, the listener, on the same page by placing the game itself in a historical context, as well as generally what we're going to be talking about with the episode. So here's a little bit of my personal history with Wolfenstein: The New Order. I remember buying the game back on sale in, I believe it was 2016. Yeah, because I got the game on sale with another game we played for the show and really liked called Life is Strange. And they were on sale together. I bought both of those. And then, not like a month later, a friend of mine bought Doom 2016 as a wedding present for me, which was really awesome. So I fell off Wolfenstein around the halfway point or so. And I've been putting it off coming back. I've been putting off coming back to it for so long until Wolfenstein: The New Colossus came out. And seeing how awesome that game was reviewed, seeing people on Giant Bomb talk about it, I sort of left my playthrough of Wolfenstein: The New Order hanging just over the halfway point and jumped straight into New Colossus. And I loved Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. I thought that game was really freaking awesome and had a lot of cool stuff going on for it and an insane story. But I always felt bad for not going back to New Order. So John, who's going to be joining me for this game club, when he chose the game from my short list I made for him, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a lot of fun to go back to, and especially since he's never played it, but that's something I always wanted to check out. So that's where mine and John's kind of history with this game lie. So now it's time to get into the prep for this game, placing Wolfenstein: The New Order in a historical context for the game club and kind of shaping how we're going to discuss this game. Wolfenstein: The New Order is an alternate history first-person shooter developed by Machine Games. The Wolfenstein series goes all the way back to 1981 with the release of Castle Wolfenstein by Muse Software on the Apple II. In the game, the player navigates 60 procedurally generated floors avoiding Nazis. The game laid the foundation for the stealth genre, leading to games like the original Metal Gear, and I love the Metal Gear Solid series, so seeing that this game kind of like laid the foundation for what Metal Gear would like take the ball and run with was really cool. A direct sequel, Beyond Castle Wolfenstein, was released in 1984. Muse Software closed its doors after filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 1987. In 1991, a new ragtag development team called id Software began development of a 3D version of Castle Wolfenstein. The team was able to buy the rights to the name for $5,000 from, quote, someone in Michigan. The entire development of Wolfenstein 3D, if you're interested, is cataloged in this amazing book by David Kushner called Masters of Doom. I highly recommend that book if you're interested at all in video game history. It chronicles the foundation of id Software, the shapement of like PC gaming in general, and of course the making of Doom and the story of John Carmack and John Romero. A fantastic book. So Wolfenstein 3D is widely considered the grandfather of 3D shooters and established a template that would carry over to the studio's next game, Doom, which I bet everyone who listens to this show has either played or is at least very aware of. In 2001, Wolfenstein was rebooted as Return to Castle Wolfenstein, developed by Grey Matter Studios. The game combined first-person action with the stealth of the original computer games. The game was a success, selling 2 million copies, and just like most Activision studios that see great success, Grey Matter was merged with the Call of Duty studio Treyarch. A loose sequel called Wolfenstein was released by Raven Software in 2009. Unfortunately, the game was not a commercial success, and Raven Software suffered some layoffs before becoming a Call of Duty support studio. id Software, the rights holders to Wolfenstein, was purchased by ZeniMax in 2009. Meanwhile, Former employees of Starbreeze Studios, known for the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, and Assault on Dark Athena, both really good games, would form a new studio in Sweden called Machine Games. For the first year and a half of the studio's life, Machine Games developed several pitches of games for various publishers and were rejected on all of them. Bethesda, who, as you probably know, are owned by ZeniMax, was impressed with the studio enough to offer one of their IPs to base a game around. Jean Mathis, I think I said that right, the company's creative director, requested Wolfenstein since it was freshly acquired, and no one was developing a game for it yet. By November of 2010, it was agreed that ZeniMax would acquire Machine Games and that they would begin work on a new Wolfenstein. After the acquisition, the studio was able to take on more staff, with an estimated 70% coming from their former studio, Starbreeze. The top priority for the game was to have it run at 1080p, 60 FPS on all platforms, because it was a split generational game back in the PS4, Xbox One days. It was also coming out on the PS3 and Xbox 360. So getting it to run at 1080p, 60 FPS on all those platforms must have been a really tall order. The game was teased in 2013 and released in May 2014 to mostly positive reviews. Critics were surprised by the game's story and enjoyed the game's combat. The game would be nominated for some Game of the Year awards at different sites. You can play the game on PS3, Xbox 360, PC, PS4 and 5, and Xbox One and the Xbox Series consoles. It is on both PS Plus Extra, because PlayStation Plus's tier system is confusing, so the second tier, and Xbox Game Pass. For Part 1, we are playing through Chapter 8, Camp Belica. As usual, watch all the cutscenes after the mission. Once you have control again, stop. Although, this game does have a safe zone in between missions, so you can walk around and talk to your crew and teammates before that if you desire. So, a little less of a hard stopping point, just anytime between Chapter 8 when you escape Camp Belica and Chapter 9. And that's where we'll begin our discussion. Our discussion will be 2 Thursdays from now if the schedule holds well, so August 24th. If you haven't played the game before, now's a good time to jump into Wolfenstein. It's available on Game Pass and PS Plus, so you have no excuse if you've been putting it off like me to go back to it, or if you have played Wolfenstein The New Order and just want a fresh perspective on it, come along, join us, hang out. You can participate in Game Club discussions by sending your thoughts on the game or anything really to stateofthesave@gmail.com, or by reaching out to @stateofthesave on various social media platforms, including Twitter, I'm still calling it Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we have a YouTube page, and I think you can message there too, or check out some clips of the show that we post there. Thank you all for listening. I very much look forward to this Wolfenstein discussion. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all. Stay safe out there.